And we are crap. My hair in the back. I did not know I was going to show that, but whatever. We are live. Welcome to the third in the series of Western Star movie reviews. My name is Hunter West. I am your host tonight. We got a lot of good things happening tonight. We got a lot of 3 movie reviews plus a little bit of TV and movie news as well. If you read the description, Smile puts a good grin on my face. And in the box office this weekend, Hocus Pocus 2 premieres big on Disney Plus. But is it better and bitter? Is it necessary? And Firestarter this weekend, finally watching it free on Prime Video after months of waiting to watch it because it was streaming in theaters and on Peacock on the 13th of May, but never got to see it. It lit no fires. Plus, we got some news in the business of movies and TV. And yeah, let's get into the reviews. By the way, if you are new, my name is Hunter. I do a lot of movie reviews and news on every Wednesday at 12. Hope the TV does post it till the end of the year, and hopefully TV does a best and worst list by the end of the year. So, with that said, let's move on to the first movie review, and that is this. I'll be honest and say September hasn't had a huge hit when it came to the box office. I mean, pretty much if we're talking about, the movies that have come out, number one, um, the bigger movies to come out this past couple weeks were The Woman King and Don't Worry Darling. They matched up with $19 million respectively between each other. That is until Smile came out, which is a movie I actually been excited to see. I thought the trailers looked really good. This is a new film from a first-time director, Parker Finn, and this is about a woman who is a therapist at a hospital and witnesses a patient commit or a patient is going through something and they kill themselves, but they die with a smile, and now there's something that's haunting her, and now she needs to figure out a way to stop the curse. And so I was interested because I thought that the trailers looked creepy, but they reminded me of a movie a little while ago, a 2018 film called Truth or Dare. And I will bring up the picture of it right away of the film that it looked like it was copying. I don't know if this is there. Okay. So it was similar to that in the way that the main thing about the movie is the fact that there's these smiles that are coming around, and it's kind of like a haunting face, and that's what was in this movie. Except this time around, it's R-rated and not PG-13. That movie was PG-13, and I heard like modest reviews, like actually decent reviews, coming out of the film from a premiere of Fantastic Fest, which is like where they premiere a lot of horror movies and like horror movies. And so I finally got a chance to see it on Friday. And I will tell you this, the box office proved that fans want to see horror movies because this was a really good horror film. It's not the best horror film I've seen this year. That is easily going to the Black Phone. But this film is really good. I'll talk about the audience later on, but talking about the film's performance, it made $22 million opening weekend. And if you're Paramount, you are popping bottles, you are having a blast because that is a good number. $22 million for an opening weekend horror film is really good. Compared to like a couple weeks ago, what was it? Barbarian. Barbarian opened to 10 million. Nothing too surprising there. It was fine. It was a good horror movie. It was fine. But talking about Smile. This movie, it pretty much was a better version of Truth or Dare. And the reason why I say that is because Truth or Dare, pretty much what it was a terrible horror movie, but it features one noticeable performance from one of my favorite shows, the Wilds, aka Sophia Ali, just pointing it out there. The premise of that movie was the fact that it kind of followed them, and every time you didn't do a truth or a dare, you would get possessed, you would smile, and then and they would die. But it was PG-13, so it kind of was like edited, and it wasn't shown. This movie, they actually do show a lot of graphicness in the movie, which I thought worked really well. Because if this was PG-13, it would never have worked. I don't think it would have been a success as it was, because there's that. But the thing I love about this movie is the fact that it is very tense and scary. Good there's a lot of good moments of tension where, like, there's a character and they see something, and it's like they go back to that moment, and it's like, what is there? And then a moment later something else happens, and then nothing's there. It's a lot of, sometimes it's a lot of cliches. A lot of people are saying, like, oh, it's very comparable to, like, something like, The Ring, or something else. I don't know, but a lot of people have been saying that it is very I don't want to say cliche, but, like, in a way it is very like, what is it? Similar to a lot of horror tropes. Like, I kind of figured out what was going to happen in the end, but the way they were handling this movie was really good. This was a modest budget, so it's not like, oh, that doesn't look good, or they couldn't afford better things. No, was $17 million, which is still a lot. I mean, compared to what people, what people purchase, whatever it is. But it is a modest budget of 17 million, and it did make a lot of money, 22 million. So worldwide it grossed 35. So that's a good idea thing for Paramount. The performance from Sosie Bacon, who is our main lead, was great. She really sold it. She's very nervous a lot. She's very, like, she's selling the emotions, and you can tell she's really given a good performance, and she really cares about this movie. And Parker Finn did a good job of making sure that everything is as good as it is. Great. The jump scares were effective. They were really good. There's one scene that came out of nowhere where they're, like, showing a flashback of somebody, and there's, like, a deformed face, and pretty much it's like in a body bag, and it's like the moment they come back to it, it's like they reveal the face, and it's like that comes out of nowhere. And there's a lot of jump scares like that, which goes on to the audience of the movie. And normally I like the audience because, you get a good reaction of them, where it's like, they're having fun with it. But then you come to my audience, and it was in Portchester. Now, I never knew Portchester had people like this, where there was like, well, okay, number one, it's a horror movie, so you're going to have a little bit of teenagers and kids there. But without adult supervision, it's like they can do whatever the hell they want. And honestly, they should have had an adult there because they were being rude. The people behind me, there were like four kids behind me. Every time I look back to see what they were doing, because I hear them talking, one of the girls was slouched like this, and she was on her phone and not even watching the movie. You pay like, what is it? How much it was? This is in Adobe, so it's like a little bit more expensive, like $19. You're paying like $19 to see a movie, and you're not even paying attention. Like really? And what's worse is that there was another group in, like, the way the front, like on the left side of me, that I don't know if this is like, there was one girl who kept like act like she talked like she was really upset about something. It's like she's gonna die, and she's going in there. Like, I thought like it sounded like she was crying, but truth be told, it didn't bother me. But then they played music. There was someone who was playing music at the end, and then like two people were like, "Yo, turn that off, bro," or something. So I'm just saying, like, audience members, like, the audience sometimes can get on my nerves, but it didn't affect me from watching the movie itself. But if it's really bad, like, yeah, you gotta shut up, because because I don't know, that was a weird noise, but I did hear a lot of noises in the back, but it didn't affect the movie experience. The movie was great. I had a good time with it. A couple of issues. It's a little bit paced, a little bit slow. Some scenes are like a little bit slow. We're taking a break from things. Um, it is predictable by the end. You know what's going to happen. It's like, okay, I didn't see that coming. Like, oh, and then this is going to happen, and then it ends very abruptly. You know, but it is under 2 hours, so you get the full experience. It's not a long horror movie. It's not a short horror movie. It's in the middle where it is. It's an hour and 55 minutes. So if you're in the mood for like a nice horror film, to watch this weekend, I would recommend this one. I'm going to also be checking out Halloween Ends. Probably the one I'm excited for the most this month over Black Adam. There's that. So yeah. Smile. I would say a solid B plus is the rating I would give it. I would give this a 7.5 out of 10. And this is one I recommend you check out. So Smile is great, is a good movie. Just wish I had a better audience and nicer people. And that's the opposite of what I had when I was watching Hocus Pocus 2, which we move on to our next movie, and that is Hocus Pocus 2. I'll be honest, I didn't even know they were making this movie. I mean, I heard rumors that they were going to be making a sequel to Hocus Pocus, but I never watched the first Hocus Pocus. So, and I haven't heard a lot of like great things about it. Like, oh, somebody said, oh, this is the best thing ever. They completed the Legacy sequel is so good in this movie. I didn't think I never heard anybody say that, so I'm going at this with like, okay, it's a movie that's streaming on Disney Plus, and apparently over the past couple of last weekend, Disney Plus had recorded that the film Hocus Pocus 2, by the way, before I move on, um if you want to know the why it's so comparable, or the previous why Smile was so comparable to um or Truth or Dare, I'm gonna try. There's the Truth or Dare one, and here is. Hold on a minute. Here's Smile, so you can kind of get the message of what's going on there. But yeah, over the past week, Hocus Pocus 2 became the biggest Disney Plus premiere ever. Apparently, it beat out Black Widow, which was a Marvel movie that was also in theaters. But in terms of like Disney Plus, like how many people watched it, Hocus Pocus 2 was the biggest Disney Plus original movie premiere of all time at the moment right now. And that can clearly be for nostalgic purposes as well. So, so the story of Hocus Pocus 2 pretty much goes as two young women accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters to modern day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child hungry witches from wreaking havoc on the world. Okay. I never watched the first movie, and I heard that it was a Disney Plus original. So, okay. Or a Disney Channel original movie. So I think it was streaming on Disney Channel or whatever. I don't know when it came out in theaters, but it came out 30 years ago. And normally legacy sequels like this tend to not have a good record. Apparently, I mean, we can look at some of the others that have come out this year. Jurassic World Dominion is a big example. Clearly, legacy casting or bringing back some of the original cast members doesn't make the movie that good anyway. So, you know, Coming to America was one. I never watched that. I still haven't watched that one yet. But there's a lot of legacy sequels that don't work. And this was streaming on Disney Plus, and I didn't like it at all. I thought it was really stupid. Um, you know, and this is coming from somebody who didn't watch the original, so I'm not like coming at it like, oh, this destroyed my childhood. This ruined everything, or this is just a bad movie in general because I don't like sequels. Why are you ruining my childhood, Disney? No, I'm not like one of those people. I'm just like going at this like an open mind. Um, Sorry. I'm going at this in an open mind and watching this as a normal film, as a normal movie, and seeing how good it does. And for the most part, it was not good. The whole main gist of the movie is the whole message that they were trying to convey of the movie is the fact that there's this like thing where, as you grow older or as something appears in your life or something happens to you, you don't forget the people that you love the most or you care about the most, and you care about those people more than you care about what you have now. And so like there's a message here, but the message is completely tarnished between like there's a scene that happens with one of the noodle pretty much. Okay, the original three Sanderson sisters were great. I think they had chemistry. I don't know like if that was like what they were doing, like they were over the top, but I liked what is it? I gotta look up the lead's name. It is Bette Midler. I thought she was over the top, but she was funny in a way over the top. Like she's always being mean to her, her one of her sisters. It's like, like an over the top like Disney villain was like, "You simpleton." Like it works for her. Sarah Jessica Parker's in the movie. She doesn't really have anything to do, but she's fine in the movie. Kathleen Najimy is done in it. Doug Jones returns as Billy Butcherson. And then that's where we're gonna stop with all like the good characters because the rest of the characters in the movie I just don't care about. The newest group of girls that are trying to stop the Sanderson sisters from wreaking havoc have no chemistry. Apparently, the backstory of them is like, oh, there's these two people who are best friends, and then there's like one person who comes in and is like, oh, guys, uh, hi, and it's like they give a little bit of backstory where it's like, oh, she used to hang out with them, but as she got older, she got a boyfriend, she does new friends, and she's doing all these other things, and it's like she doesn't have time for all this witchcraft. And it's like there's a message there, but it's portrayed terribly. It's like by the end of the movie, you don't care about these characters at all. The other thing is just like that is just not really like that good in the movie is that the comedy, some of the comedy aspect, I didn't laugh like a lot in the movie. Actually, I don't even think I laughed at all, but I didn't hate the comedy. The comedy was not like terribly bad. It's just not like it's not well written. It's like, this did everything. It's pretty much like, let's take Hocus Pocus and, let's apparently double down on it. Let's do everything better. But it's like, oh, you're going to write it better and act it better? Nope. And so there's parts of this movie that try to be like, oh, that's nostalgia base for some people who watch the original. And then there's some for the new people, but it's not worth it. None of it is earned, none of it is guaranteed, and it was stupid. And then they do these things with one of the main character like Becca of this new girl group who's at the main lead, who pretty much brings back the um who brings back the Sanderson sisters to life. And it's like they do something with her that is like, really? It's like I'm afraid that's where it's gonna go, and it's just so like out of place. It's like there's a movie out there that I'm not recommending you watch, but there's like a scene where it's like some person finds out he has powers and it's like things are glowing out of his hand. And it's like he doesn't at all like worry or like get nervous about what's going on. It's like, eh, whatever. And that's what happens here. There's a scene where like they're trapped in a basement and they're using a spell book or they're using a book to get out of there. And these are just like a bunch of 16-year-olds. These are just random 16-year-olds. They're no big deal. And it's only one of the girls has her 16th birthday on her Halloween, so it's no big deal. And out of nowhere, her hand starts to glow, and I'm just like, really? Like she's gonna be okay, she's gonna be a witch now. It's like, really? That is so cliched. That is so out of place. It just doesn't work for me. Which is also why the team dynamic didn't work. And it's just none of it worked. It was way too over the top. And I'll be honest, it didn't work for me. The best parts of the movie, I would say, are the Sanderson sisters themselves. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy, whatever her name is. But those are the only things that really work for me. And plus, it looks decent. The CGI is good. There's effects in here that are good, but there's some stupid scenes in the movie. Like they do a musical number in the beginning when they finally are back. Like it's awkward. It just doesn't work. And then they do when they're at this Sanderson sisters costume contest. They like they're like they sing one way or another. I forget who sings that song. I'm gonna look this up. One way. Um, Blonde. Oh, Blondie, okay. So they do that, and it's just like it's out of place, it's out of ordinary, it's so weird, it's so some of it's cringy, but it's not cringy, and it's like, it's ruining the childhood of that, because I never watched the original one. My dad's watched snippets of it, and even he said that was stupid. Because it's like, you're taking something that people used to watch, and I'll admit, looking at the original Hocus Pocus, it doesn't have a fresh review. Currently sits at a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, 71% audience score. And so this movie, the new Hocus Pocus, sits at a 60% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 50 audience score. So the audience of this movie actually hates it more than the first movie, and the critics actually like this movie more than the first movie. I'm not one to judge. I don't care. So I didn't really bother with this movie. Is it a terrible film? I guess not, but it's not good anyway. It's Where did I rank this? Because I want to know. It's a meh movie. It's not one that you're gonna watch. It's not one you're gonna remember at all. So with that said, I'm gonna give Hocus Pocus 2 a D plus. This is a 4 out of 10. This is below average. It's not worth watching on Disney Plus, but if you have a family, then I don't know, go watch it. This is a nothing movie. It doesn't matter. Speaking of nothing movies, which leads into our third and final movie review, and I know I promised my best friend's exorcism that's going to be this weekend. This was a surprise, because there was a movie that came out in May of 2022, May 13th, which came out in theaters, and nobody knew what it was because nobody actually went to see this movie in theaters. It was a remake of a Stephen King film called Firestarter. It came out in 1994, and it was a film that was based off of one of his books where this girl, played by Drew Barrymore, develops a telekinesis or pyrotechnics, where she can, create fire with her mind and, like spooky stuff, And they decided to reboot it with a new cast, a new woman, and a new father played by Zac Efron. And it debuted in theaters, and it streamed on Peacock, which is probably something that people are like, wait a minute, what's Peacock? It's a streaming service that technically like Universal does, where Universal has access to those. Like, that's what's happening with Halloween Ends. They're putting that movie in theaters and on Peacock, which is like a Universal property, and then like a couple of months later, it'll be streamable on like Prime Video. Warner Brothers has HBO Max, Sony has Netflix, and um, what is it? Paramount has Paramount Plus. And so I waited because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, because this thing was getting trashed by critics, trashed by audiences. Nobody went to see it. It bombed in the box office against a $12 million budget. It only made 14 million worldwide. And so it finally dropped this weekend on Amazon Prime Video for free, which is what I wanted to do. I didn't want to pay money to see this movie. I'm not a fan of Peacock. I just don't. There's nothing really on it. Like I think The Office is funny. I love The Office. Community's on there, which I recently they're developing a movie for that, which is not talking about in the movie news section. But there's nothing really good on Peacock. Paramount Plus is the one I want to get for you know. My dad thinks that Apple TV Plus is good. No, I don't think so. I just want to, what? Maybe I'll get all the stream. I want to get all the streaming services by the end of the year because you know what? Why not? So I can be like, okay, I want to watch this. I want to watch that. I want to watch that. I want to watch that. I can get into that one. And so finally, the movie dropped on Prime Video. It is terrible. It is terrible. It is a terrible, terrible, terrible remake that is one of the worst movies I've seen this year. And to give you a little bit of a demonstration on how bad the movie is the fact that the movie looks as if it was a streaming film exclusive. Like this movie was always meant to stream exclusively, but they were like, nope, it's got some A-list actors in there. We got to put it in theaters, but it's like I don't know if it's going to do well, So they're like, okay, fine, we'll just put it in theaters and on Peacock, which some people thought was smart because Doctor Strange. And it's like, Doctor Strange blew the box office away in month of May until Top Gun Maverick came out, but it came out May 13th, and Doctor Strange came out May 6th, which some people thought was a smart decision because, they didn't want to get, tanked in the box office because people still want to watch it. So let's do it on Peacock, if we just streaming and subscribers, see how many subscribers we get. I can imagine you was probably like 2 subscribers gained after watching Firestarter because it was not a good experience for me. Um, it lit no like the joke said, it lit no fire. Um, it's pretty much like where you have okay, so the main point of the movie is in this one is like, Zac Efron and his wife and his daughter Charlie, they live in a normal life, and then something happens in school, and now it's like she has to move. She not only get tracked um by this government agency, um where it's like she is they're going to use her powers. It's like you're a real life superhero. Really? Superhero. Like it's bad enough that the movie just looks really cheap. Feels cheap. It also has a brown texture to it, like a dark ashy texture, which is like, fire, I got you. No. No, that's not what it is. And I would say the first 20 minutes are like they're not good. But they're not terrible. Like, I'm invested in what's going on so far, but not in a good way. Like, I understand, like, this girl's bullied because she's constantly doing these things where it's like she needs to control her powers and not, like, kill the kid next to her who's bullying her. Like, you're weird. And, like, throws a dodgeball at the back of her head. It's like, I got to control myself or I don't burn this kid alive, you know? And I feel like that at the 20 minutes in there was good. They gave a little bit of backstory on her condition, and it's like, you see a family dynamic, and it's cute, it's good. I like the family dynamic. But then after the 20 minutes, the movie just gets worse and worse and worse. And like the final battle scene is so obnoxious. And I wish I could show you the ending of the original one because the ending actually, I watched the original ending scene, not the whole thing because I'm not like that, but the ending scene of that movie, and it pretty much is like practical effects, a lot of good explosions. It's cool. This whole entire battle sequence takes place in this facility, and it is so cheap. Like you can tell everything's bad CGI. There's a scene where a girl just comes out of nowhere, like, and she's like, "My name is this. I can help you. I'm trying to be a good person to you. And she tries to distract Charlie with somebody coming out behind her with a gun, but she firebolts him through the stomach. And I could tell you right now, remember that scene in like Terminator where, like they would get the Terminator would get shot and it's like tin, there's a little bit of like aluminum tin coloring around his skull. It looked like that. Like the result looked like that and it looked terrible. And then she's burning the woman and it's like she's burning she's like liar liar pants on fire and she's burning, she's in pain and then like it cuts to Charlie's face and she's like burning her, but you don't see it. And then you see the aftermath, and it's just like, by the way, this movie's R rated, so they should show violence, right? They don't. Not a lot of violence. There's also a scene in a car where she just randomly gets into this guy's car and it's like, hi, my name is Charlie, and it's like, I know who you are. I know you have your card. I want it. Do you have a gun? It's like she's like, no, I don't. And then he immediately, the stupidest decision to not live is like, I'm just gonna do this. And then he gets burned alive, but there's like an explosion. And then you see the result of what happens. And I'll say this, it looks brutal. It looked really cool. It's brutal, it's graphic, it looks like he's burnt alive. And then, you know, she says something and then she's burning him, but again it cuts to her face like doing like, and you don't even see the result of it. And then when they show you like, oh, these people are burning, it's horrible CGI. It's like, oh, out of nowhere SWAT guys come in, headlights on fire, it's like boom. That's not graphic at all. They're wearing masks and stuff. And then there's this bounty hunter that comes out of nowhere that acts like the freaking Terminator. There's a scene where he's like walking through a house, and one of the mother's powers are like telekinesis, where like she can move things with her mind. So she's moving all like the pictures in like one hallway, which like how many pictures do you have? But she's moving them, and then he's just like walking through. He's walking through, and he doesn't seem to be like, I get hit, ow. He's just like walking through, like he gets hit, like he is this like the Terminator thing? And then I made a joke about it with my father. He's like, I said, like, because he's a tall guy and they have a really low lampshade. I'm like, either he's way too tall or that lamp is way too small, or it can be, or in the words of Dr. Hartman from Family Guy, can it be both? It's not a well-made movie. It's not a well-shot movie. It's not a well-acted movie. It's not a well-written movie. The fight choreography is bad. The special effects are terrible. Like this movie would have worked if it was in the midst of like bad remakes. When remakes were just terrible. Like studios would be pumping out a remake every so often, every year in the early 2000s. And I watched a Watch Mojo movie review, top 20 worst horror remakes on this thing. This came in at number 12. And this came out this year. So nobody cares to see this thing. And this thing's got a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is right. I really think the camera's turned around, but like, wait a minute. Yeah, there you go. 10%. 10. Nobody cares about this. Nobody likes this movie. Nobody wants to see this movie. But truth be told, Stephen King's probably looking at his movies like, oh God, like what? Why are you guys ruining my schlick? My shtick. Where it's like I made some good book. He makes great books. It's just when you have writers and directors who don't know how to make good movies and portray them in a way that's terrible, it doesn't work. And there's a new movie that comes out. It actually comes out today called Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which I will also be reviewing and giving you guys a little bit of a heads up on what's going on with that one. But it's another Stephen King movie. And it's like, I fear because, like they have to be executed really well. The only film that I've seen that is executed really well from Stephen King, like based off of a Stephen King property, is the It series, It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. But It Chapter 1 was beautifully made. It was one of my favorite movies of all time. it in 2017, the remake, is great. And so I don't know what's going on with these movies nowadays with Stephen King because, they're just not being well made. And this was nothing worked at all. Gloria Reuben is the villain in this movie is terrible. She's so over the top. It's bad acting. Kurtwood Smith, if you watch that 70s show, you know that guy, the old guy. He's in this movie. He's in there for like one scene. He plays like a retired doctor where it's like, I'm in retirement home. That girl is gonna be a major threat to the whole America. She needs to be terminated. It's like, dude, you are not doing anything. You're in for one scene. You're a nobody. That's it. Just go away. It's it's a bad movie. I don't think nobody should watch it. This is an F. This is an F. An F. Hold on a minute. There you go. Or if the camera is facing that way or whatever. But yeah, it is an F. Don't watch it. And I probably nobody's gonna watch it anyway. But yeah, it is on Prime Video right now, streamable for free. It is on Peacock as well. Um, yeah. So recap of the movies. Smile put a smile on my face. Great box office run. Hocus Pocus. The magic is kind of there, but it's not really, and I don't care about it. And Firestarter just burned my emotions away. Pun, not funny. None of that was funny. Um, you see me laughing? That's not funny. Anyways, this weekend I will be giving you guys now the movies I will be reviewing. Hopefully, are like I said, I will be giving you guys a good review on Mr. Harrigan's Phone, the new Stephen King movie that's coming out. I will also be reviewing the newest film with a huge stat cast of Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, Chris Rock, John David Washington, Anya Taylor-Joy, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift? Yeah, Taylor Swift's an actor now. Michael Shannon, Mike Myers, um, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, and Robert De Niro, and Michael Shannon, and Shrek himself, Mike Myers. I don't even know if I said those names twice, so I don't care. But Amsterdam, a new film with a stat cast, a murder mystery. I will be reviewing that one. I will also be. Change is just being annoying. I hate putting change in my pockets. Don't give it for. God, I'm sorry. But yeah, I will also be reviewing what is it? Hellraiser, a new Hulu original. I've heard great things about it. So I'm going to check it out. My dad's a massive Hellraiser fan. He watched the original. So I'm going to be curious to see how he likes with that. And also, I will be reviewing another surprise film because I'm not going to give you guys the gist. Pretty much like the surprise film is just like, like, oh, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Like out of the ordinary, so there you guys have it. That is my take on it because it's a movie. Maybe I skipped on it or I haven't watched yet. So you guys will be there to wait and see what happens. All right. Now let's get into the movie of movie news and TV news with that. So, with that said, let's move on. Let's start with the first one, and that is this. So, one of the movies, a good time for movies to do well in the box office, and I think everybody can agree that does well around is Christmas time. Christmas time, the kids are off from school, people are off, they go to the movies, movies make money. That was clearly the case with Spider-Man. I mean, not just because it was Spider-Man and, if I have to say it, spoiler alert, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are on screen, and it's Christmas time, but the majority of times movies do well around the Christmas time. And a couple of minutes ago, before I started the stream, I quickly watched a new trailer for a upcoming film, Violent Night, which is a new film starring David Harbour as Santa Claus. which is awesome. David Harbour is such a good actor. I like him in Stranger Things, Black Widow. He was good in, and I think he also is. Yeah, I think he's appearing in the Thunderbolts movie from Marvel. But this comes from us from Deadline, who talked about this. This as one of the surprise bad guys says in this new Violent Night trailer is not your typical mall Santa. Universal just dropped the trailer for their cold, dark action comedy starring David Harbour as the very real Santa Claus who gets very, very real with a team of mercenaries holding a family hostage on Christmas Eve. Directed by Norwegian director Tommy Wirkola, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, Violent Night also stars John Leguizamo as the top baddie, along with other people that I don't know. Original screenplay is by Pat Casey and Josh Miller from Sonic the Hedgehog, with Mark S. Fisher as producing. The film is produced and is set to be released in theaters on December 2nd. So, right away, I watched the trailer because I was like, oh, this movie looks interesting. And it is interesting. I want to see this movie. I want to see this movie. Like right away when you say David Harbour is in a movie, like, okay, that's good. I like him in Stranger Things. Uh he is playing Santa Claus. I'm like, I don't know, but okay. And it's an R-rated action comedy about him beating up a bunch of bad guys on Christmas Eve. Yeah, get me my ticket now, please. That is a great, ridiculous concept, but movies like that tend to, surprise people. So that's the first movie news. I haven't watched the trailer yet, or no, I have watched the trailer yet. My bad. So, there's that. So if you guys want to know, a movie coming out sooner or later, there you go. That is the film. So, Violent Night is a new film. David Harbour as Santa Claus. Sign me up. So that is number number one on the movie news. The second movie news is this. One of the I think most of the people who watch movies agree that one of the worst films of this year is Morbius. Some of you guys may not know Morbius came out in theaters, didn't make a lot of money, made under $170 million, and was a panned comic book movie, 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it showed. And now next year, they recently just delayed the Craven the Hunter movie, which is now supposed to come out in October instead of January. The Madam Web movie, which was originally supposed to come out in July, and then it got pushed to October, and now it's moving to February 16th of 2024. Sony is moving all their dates, maybe because of visual effects purposes and whatever. One of the movies that they're making is a film called El Muerto, which is a film starring Bad Bunny as a Mexican wrestler that appeared in one, not two, not three, not five, not 10, one comic book of Spider-Man. And they're making a solo villain movie of it. I'm trying to be funny, but I don't know if anybody's gonna laugh. But no. The point is, this just is ridiculous. Now, I would have been excited for Bad Bunny because I actually watched Bullet Train and he actually was in Bullet Train and he did a pretty decent job. If he was in the movie more, because he's not in the movie that much. He's in there for like one scene and it's like 2 minutes and he dies. That's it. So I'm not looking forward to this movie. However, they just said like, oh, it's going to star Bad Bunny and it's coming out January 12th, 2024. Well, they finally found themselves a director, and it is Jonas Cuarón. This comes from Deadline as well, who say this. Sony Pictures has set Jonas Cuarón as a director for El Muerto, which will star Bad Bunny, also known as Benito as Miorezo Ocasio. I butchered that name so badly. Jonas Cuarón, the son of Oscar winner Alfonso Cuarón, is known for the 2015 thriller Desierto. Never heard of it. El Muerto is in early development, and Gareth Dunnett Alcocer is writing the script. El Muerto is a character within Spider-Man universe that would mark the first time a Latino character leads a Marvel live-action film. He is the anti-hero and the son of a luchador next in line to inherit the ancestral power of El Muerto. You know, although Bad Bunny is best known for his Grammy-winning music, he has been getting more involved in the acting world. He had an arc in the Netflix series Narcos Mexico. Earlier this year, he made his big screen debut with Bullet Train, and the film is expected to come out January 12th. Okay. I I I'm confused about this because on one hand, we finally have a director and we have some writers. That's good. At least the movie's getting now, some people. We still don't have a lot of casting, but we have Bad Bunny. I don't care. Like, I don't care. And the reason why I don't care is because of this. When was the last time Sony made a good movie that wasn't Spider-Man that featured one of these anti-heroes? Like Kraven the Hunter? I don't know if it's gonna be good. The Venom movies haven't been well received. I like the second Venom more than the first movie. Morbius clearly wasn't liked by anybody. I hated Morbius. So who's really asking for this character, Madam Web? I like that concept, of a woman Spider-Man or whatever the hell it is. I'm curious because the cast looks incredible. Craven the Hunter. I'm excited for that because the cast looks incredible. And I like what they're doing behind the scenes because that's a well known character. Madam Web is a well known character. Who in the hell is El Muerto? Like, who in the hell? And when you put it in January, where movies tend to not be good and well received, like, this has every bit of being a complete disaster than it should. And apparently there was a thing where like Craven was delayed to October, Madam Web was delayed to February 2024. But this movie did not change its release date. It's still like January 12th, 2024. I don't know. Like, to me, this just is not a good look. And I like the fact that they're getting a director of somebody's a well-known director, Alfonso Cuarón's son in this. Maybe he can be like, "Oh, I'm gonna produce this movie," but even he can't produce it. He's made some great movies, but like when I just see this and I see this news, I just think, what is the point of them making a movie like this? What is the reason that they're going to continue on with this journey? There is absolutely no reason that an El Muerto movie should be made. And for anything, it should be made like this. Now, if we start getting a little bit of story news and a little bit of casting news and a little bit of anything else, then okay, I am perfectly fine with it. There's some people in the background, just welcoming to the WICR. But um when I see this news, I just think like, what are we doing? Why are we going on with this? And why are we she's pointing she's pointing at me. I see her, she's pointing at me. But no. Like going back to this, I think that it I this is Bad Bunny actually leading a movie now because he was sidelined throughout the rest of the cast like Brad Pitt, Sandra Bullock, Michael Shannon, Andrew Koji, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry. He wasn't even mentioned. Like nobody like knew like, oh, Bad Bunny's in the movie, but he's in there for like one scene. This is him gonna be leading a movie, starring a movie, and acting his butt off. And I just don't know how to feel about this one. I'm excited for Craven. I am excited for Madam Web. I'm not excited for this movie because this has every hint to be another major disaster. With that said, let's move on to another um, news in TV news. And that is this. Um, in TV news, this isn't really movie or TV news, but just letting you know, this counts as TV news because it says TV on deadline. But New York Yankees star Aaron Judge breaks the record and hits 62 home runs. I'm a Mets fan, so my dad is happy about that, but I was happy about that. And now the Mets have to play one round. But we got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to get this down and out. And I'm going to try this, and that is this. I think one of the biggest surprises or biggest stories that has ever been told is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer. And recently, Netflix put out a show um, called Dahmer, starring Evan Peters. And I have not watched the show yet. I hang out in one of the lounges in the La Penta business, and one of the girls that are in there was watching an episode of it. And I never was like I don't watch a lot of Netflix shows, but one of these shows has to impress me a lot. Like a concept, cast, story, anything has to impress me. What the? Sorry, change. Well, apparently, Dahmer becomes one of Netflix's biggest hits with 300 million hours racked up in second week. Yet again, this comes from um, um, Deadline, who wrote the following. Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, has quickly become one of Netflix's biggest ever television series. The Ryan Murphy limited series, which stars Evan Peters as the notorious serial killer, has racked up 299.84 million hours viewed during its second week on the service. This puts it behind only Stranger Things 4 as Netflix's second most watched English language TV series in a week. This is on top of the 196.2 million hours watched in its first week after its launch on September 21st. For context, the fourth season of Stranger Things started with 301 hours viewed, and its second tranche of episodes reviewed 355 million times. The limited series has also surpassed the second season of Bridgerton, which topped off with 252 million hours viewed. It only has become the ninth most popular series on Netflix after only 12 days with 496.05 million hours viewed. This puts it above season 4 of Ozark and behind the second season of 13 Reasons Why with 496.1. Dahmer was seen by 56 million households in less than 2 weeks. This also puts it into conversation alongside Squid Game, as in the Duffer Brothers' aforementioned Supernatural series is one of the streamers' most successful originals ever. I have not watched this show. I have not seen the show. I have not heard anything about the show. I think I've heard like reviews are like it's but like the family is like, I don't know why you guys are making this a series, but whatever. But those numbers are great. Like for context, Stranger Things 4 is one of the most popular series of this year. And to take that into context, um, Dahmer could be in the top 5 most popular series to watch this year. Like that in terms of most popular watched and viewed, like that has the ability to become in the top 5, maybe even top 3, because apparently the numbers are like it's 300 million hours watched, and that's on par with Stranger Things and the second section of Stranger Things 4. That is great. Like when I hear this, it shows me like, oh, there's some good shows out there. But on the same time, it just like, okay, I like Stranger Things more. I don't care to watch a series about a serial killer, and plus I don't really think like the story. The story is really graphic, but I don't care to watch those kinds of shows. However, I am proud of the fact that, that is actually something happened because Bridgerton is a popular show. It edged Bridgerton and 13 Reasons Why, which by the way, declined on Netflix, just letting you guys know that. But for what it's worth, I really do think that is a good number. It's not perfect number. It's not like like, like, oh, record breaking, but it becomes the second most viewed show this year. And that's coming from Stranger Things, like, and that's second. Like, when you think of the most popular shows, you think Stranger Things and, like, maybe Bridgerton, because I heard Bridgerton's a popular show. But then, oh, and also The Wild's on Prime. But that's on Prime, not Netflix. By the way, Netflix, buy the rights to The Wilds. Prime, sell The Wilds to Netflix so we can get a third season, please. But in terms of Netflix, like, that is a huge hit. 300 million hours in the second weekend is really good. Like, that's on par with, like, box office numbers. Like, can continue, like, the first weekend, 196 million people watched it, or hours were viewed, and then it went on to go, like, to now it's at 300, which is really good. So yeah, let me know what you guys, or you know what, if you guys see it, somebody tell me what you think, because I think it's good news. It's good news for Netflix, but God, must be a really effed up story, to hear and watch on Netflix, and portrayed by Quicksilver himself, Evan Peters. Okay, with that said, that is going to be it for this weekend, or this episode. Remember, next weekend, I'm going to be talking about Mr. Harrigan's Phone, Hellraiser, Amsterdam, and a surprise. And who knows, the surprise might be good, the surprise might be meh, or the surprise might be the worst thing I've ever watched in my entire life. Who knows? I'm not making any guesses, but I'm confirming the 3 movies that I'm going to be giving you guys, and maybe some new TV news, coming out, and maybe some more movie news, maybe box office runs and stuff, whatever. But thank you guys so much for watching this stream. Tune in next weekend, October 12th, 2022. Yeah, October 12th. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Western Star Movie Reviews.